السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي قصرت عن رؤيته أبصار الناظرين وعجزت عن نعته أوهام الواصفين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. حاميم والكتاب المبين. إنا أنزلناه في ليلة مباركة إنا كنا منذرين فيها يفرق كل أمر حكيم. صلوات بيجي محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is the first in the series of 4 majalis, inshallah, as it was announced. The first 3 will be at this hour after the amal, and inshallah the majlis on Sunday will take place before Maghrib, so be there on time so we can start majlis at 7 p.m. so we can finish inshallah by Maghrib and Salat. The verses that I recited are the first initial ayat from Surah Dukhan. This is one of those chapters that is recommended to be recited during the nights of Qadr. And that is why on the night of 23rd, we will go ahead and recite the surah. This, along with Surah Ankabut, as well as Surah Rum, and now Surah Dukhan. When you look at this surah and the emphasis of it and the connection that it has with this particular night, of course, while we are in this night to perform the ibadat, we also realize that there was a personality which was deprived of performing this ibadat tonight. That individual for whom the voice and the sound was raised, that قُتِلَ عَلِيٌّ فِي الْمِحْرَابِ لِشِدَّةِ عَدْلِهِ, that Ali was martyred in the mihrab for his excessive adl. And this is the night when the children of Ali, Hassan and Hussein, Zainab, Kulthum, Abbas, and Abdullah, and Jafar, and Uthman, and Muhammad Hanafi, and all of them, they lost a loving father. They became yatim. And therefore, this is the night while Quran is being revealed. This is also a night when Quran and Natiq is leaving this world. Well, on one hand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is revealing Quran as Samit, the silent Quran. On the other hand, the spoken Quran is leaving this world. So indeed, that this night has that dual specialty, and that's why we perform the first part of it with ibadat, and we are dedicating the second part of it with the commemoration of the Darbat and the Shahadat of Mawlai Muttaqiyan, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. The ayat or the ayat that I recited very quickly, if I can just briefly explain. It begins with the abbreviated letters Ha, Mim. And amongst these abbreviated alphabets that Quran initiates or introduces 29 chapters that begin with huruf muqatta'at. These abbreviated letters that obviously are the ones that we do not know the meaning of. And our ma'asumeen have given hints to an extent, but they also kept it secret from us, and it will be a day when it will become apparent to what it is. But it begins with Ha-Mim. And usually is the case, if you look at this pattern in Quran, that whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins an ayat or a surah with huruf muqatta'at, right after that there's a discussion regarding Quran. It says Ha-Mim wal kitab al-mubin. Ha-Mim, and with this obvious and apparent book, clear book. Alif Lam Mim, dhalik al-kitab. There's this discussion. Yasin wal Quran al-Hakim. So no matter where you go, except one occasion, which is in Surah Rum, that when it begins, it does not talk about Quran, rather the discussion goes somewhere else. But all of the 20 out of 29, 28 chapters that begin with huruf muqatta'at, they speak about Quran in one way or the other. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatin mubarakah. That indeed we revealed this Quran on a blessed night. So this night is considered to be blessed. The word Mubarak comes from Barakah. And Barakah, we all know, refers to the word blessing. That the revelation of the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the form of this Quran is nothing less than the barakat and the blessing for you. So even when the ayat are being revealed, they're considered to be blessing. So therefore there's a discussion regarding Sa'ad and Nahas. Those who refer to, these jantaris, and for the looking up the dates or any other taqweem that you look up to, and you find these two dates or these two explanations in front of the days, that certain days are Sa'ad, that means Ba Barakat, and certain days are Nahas, that they are not Ba Barakat. Actually, they're opposite of Barakat. And that's why we avoid many things. So what is the reality behind these Nahas days? Is there anything like this? Because all the days are created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the one who has created everything. And therefore, why should you consider anything to be Nahas? Now, that is not the case. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this book himself, in this Quran, mentions the fact that there are certain days which are considered to be ayyam nahisat. That they are those days which, there were certain events that took place in those days. By mere factor that those things had happened, these days are not good for you. And therefore avoid doing certain things in these days. And that is the reason we take this precaution and we avoid doing some of these things. Salawat bheje Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. But anyway, this Quran is Mubin. This Quran which comes from Ibana, Mubin comes from Ibana, which means it's clear. That means it's something which you can understand if you paid little attention to. But all around, Quran is something which is Mubarak. Because the one who revealed this Quran is Mubarak. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Tabarakalladhi nazzal al-Quran. That glorify is he who revealed this Quran. And then this book itself, Kitabun anzalnahu ilayka Mubarak. Book that we have revealed to you is also Mubarak. And the time when it is revealed is also considered to be ba barakat, and with blessing. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatin mubarakah. That we have indeed revealed this Quran on a very blessed night. So from all around, this Quran is something which is a blessing. The time when it is revealed is a blessing. And the one who revealed this book is also blessed himself. And therefore this night holds importance to us. One importance is obviously when we are commemorating the shahadat of Maulana Muttaqiyan. The second, that it is mentioned by Ma'asumeen to be one of the expected nights in which Quran was revealed. And when that is the case, we make sure that we utilize this night in the proper manner. That none of the times that we are spending awake in this night is spent in vain or is spent without ibadat or without worship. So when you look at it from this aspect, the first and the foremost thing that is mentioned as far as this day is concerned, this night is concerned, that you should go ahead and perform the ghusl of the day. Ghusl which is done with the intention that I am performing this ghusl to purify myself, and also I'm performing this ghusl to go ahead and become tahir and to go ahead and have this forgiveness on this day. Salawat biji Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So when we look at this discussion, and inshallah we'll get to the gist of it towards the end, that Quran was revealed. And when Quran is revealed, it's not something which should be taken for granted. A lot of time the question is raised when you say the Quran is revealed on the night of Qadr, as Surah Inna Anzalna says, or this surah or this ayat of Surah Dukhan relates. What does that mean that Quran is revealed tonight? And what does it mean, and how does it hold parallel to the fact that Quran was revealed for the period of 23 years? How do you go ahead and put a parallel between these two questions? First is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses two verbs for the revelation of Quran. He uses nazzalna and he uses anzalna. Anzalna refers towards the instantaneous and all-in-one revelation of Quran. And that is the fact that in the Laylatul Qadr, whether it be 19th, 21st or 23rd, the entire Quran was revealed onto the heart of Rasulullah. And then when it means that inna nahnu nazzalna, that means tanzil, that it was revealed gradually for the period of 23 years. That should tell you two things. That when Rasulullah would be explaining the ayat for the period of 23 years, he already had the ilm of Quran. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had revealed the entire Quran to him. He already knew it by heart. So for the children to understand that how do you put these two things together? What does that mean, revealed all at once? And what does it mean, revealed for 23 years? For example, you come back from a trip and you have these suitcases in which you have brought stuff. You give the child the suitcase to carry inside the house, so you've given the entire package to them. And when you come inside the house, you open up the suitcase and show them things within it one by one. Similar is the case that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the entire Quran onto the heart of Rasulullah. So he had the knowledge of it, and for the period of 23 years, he introduced the ayat of Quran and the miracles of Quran to the people one by one. That's how you understand the definition of tanzil, gradual, and anzalna, all at once. Salawat biji Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So let it be known that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Laylatul Qadr khayrum min alfi shahr, that this night is better than 1,000 months. 1,000 months means 83 years. And that's why this is mentioned that the night of 19th and the night of 21st and the night of 23rd, these three nights have three different names. The night of 19th is called Laylatul Taqreer. Taqreer does not mean the speech. Taqreer means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes the decision on this night. It's the night of decision making. That this is the night when decisions are being made. Night of 21st is called Laylatul Ibram, is the night of giving consent. And the night of 23rd is called Laylatul Imda, which means the day when a stamp of approval is being placed. And that stamp of approval is placed by no one other than Imam of your time, Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. Because in these nights, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will decide for every mankind their affairs, their sustenance, their life, their death, who will be born and who will leave this world, who will get married, who will be fed for the entire year, and who will face calamities. All of this is decided tonight. So when this is decided tonight and it is decided and approved by the Imam of your time, that is why now you understand how much emphasis placed on remembering the Imam of your time on these nights, especially because you want to keep him in your du'as and you want to make the du'a for his faraj, for his reappearance, so that he keeps good record for you for the entire year. And that's the connection that we have with the Imam of our time. So there are certain actions that you may have performed for tonight, but you still have 2 more nights of Qadr, so I want to give these out in advance so that make sure that we're able to take care of these things in the forthcoming nights as well. First, I had mentioned to maximize the ability for these gifts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed on these particular nights, which are called Rabbani. Make sure that you're able to use every inch and every corner of these nights. And first and foremost is by the performance of the ghusl, as I had mentioned earlier, with the intention of tawbah and with the intention of tahara. Second action is that take a small break during the daytime if you can. A small nap, a brief nap if it's possible for you, so that you will have the ability to remain vigil at night and you will not have any laziness at nighttime to perform the ibadat. So there's no harm in sleeping for a little while if it is possible for you. And luckily for you, the next 2 nights, you will have, some of you, will have a weekend so that you're able to utilize it in that manner. Number 3, it is mentioned to eat as little as possible. And avoid eating too much, and especially avoid eating meat too much, because meat brings qasawatul qalb, stern-heartedness. And what does this stern-heartedness do? Stern-heartedness becomes the reason that we are unable to shed any tears. We're unable to show any tawadu, any humility, and any humbleness in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's one way of cutting down on that, by avoiding this sort of food. And then riwayat mention eat lentils, adas and all of these things, because they make your heart raqiqul qalb. They make your heart what? Soft. Even the most shaqi, their hearts become raqiq and soft on these nights, and they're able to shed tears and they're able to raise their hands to make dua. Because without that, a lot of time people feel shy and ashamed of even making dua. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ عَنِ عِبَادِي, those who do istikbar and show arrogance in making dua from me, سَيَدْخُلُونَ جَهَنَّمَ, they will not have any respite and they will be entering this hell. Give sadaqah. Make sure that you use every inch and corner of this night to go ahead and give this sadaqah on all of these nights, because it is mentioned in riwayat that sadaqah removes 70 types of calamities and musibat. 70 different types of calamities and musibat. And therefore utilize this night to show generosity, because this generosity will only help you. Even if it may be coming from your pocket, in return, it is only going to be helping you. And I will, inshallah, mention more and touch upon these things tomorrow and in the day after as well. And then make dua, lots of dua for the zuhur of your imam of your time. As I said, he's the one who's going to be given all of these amal of ours, and he is the one who's going to be putting this stamp of approval on it. Admit in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the sins that you have committed. It's very difficult for us to open up to other individuals, and nobody's asking you to do so. Nor does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who's Sattarul Uyub, who's going to reveal any of your defects. But at least be man enough to open up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I have committed such a sin. And I am present over here in this particular night, and I'm making this dua in your bargah. Avoid worldly and vain discussion. In fact, involve and indulge into dhikr and the recitation of salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad as much as possible. So that automatically you are not indulging into any vain discussion or any worldly discussion. You have all the year for that stuff. Dedicate these nights only for the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then it continues by saying, reconcile between two adversaries. Islah bain dhatim. You know, Amir al-Mu'mineen, when he was struck by the sword of Ibn Muljam, when he was given the wasiyah to his children, one of the wasiyah and the wasiyah to his children was to go ahead and, reconcile between two adversaries. If there are two people who are at odds, who haven't spoken to one another, who do not look at each other, and there may be some misunderstanding, and there may be a genuine reason for them to have this sort of attitude towards one another. Make every effort that you can in these nights especially, because they are also amada and ready to an extent, and with your push you will be able to remove the adversity that they have between them. Especially if there's any adversity between children and their parents. Especially if there's any adversity between family members and relatives. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, those who are disowned by the parents and those who are qati'i rahim, their du'as will not be accepted. So you'll be making du'as in these nights, thinking that these are the nights when all the du'as are accepted, but you are not in good terms with your parents and you've been disowned by them. Or you're not in good terms with your relatives and you have done qati'i rahmi with them. Guess what? This dua is not going to be answered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's how much Allah emphasizes on ibad, on people, before He emphasizes it on His own right. Salawat bi Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And last few things are in reference to, again, Imam of our time. Make dua for progeny from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah grants you children who are on the path of Imam of our time. That when they're born, they remain on this path so that they will serve in the army and they are the soldiers of Imam of our time. Make these du'as because there's effect on these du'as, especially on these nights. And these du'as are able to ward off many of the illnesses and ill effects that we find in the society. You may try all year long to do one thing, but the effects of what you do in this particular night would be far different and far superior. And last but not least, conclude your night with the reminder and the ziyarat of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Perform this ziyarat in the haram of Sayyid al-Shuhada. And if you can't make it to the haram of Sayyid al-Shuhada, stand in the open sky and recite and say this 3 times, Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah, Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah, Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Riwayat mentions as if you have done the ziyarat of Sayyid al-Shuhada standing under the qubba of his ear. If you go ahead and perform it this way. So these are some of the amal as far as this night of Qadr is mentioned. There was this discussion that came about that the Amal and 19th and 21st to be considered to be Laylatul Qadr is something which is innovation of scholars, whereas 23rd was enough and that was the only night which was mentioned by Masumin. Yes, there's more emphasis, but Riwayat also mentioned 19th and 21st. So no, this is the innovation of the scholars because they wanted to diminish and they wanted to lessen the tragedy of the night of 19th and 21st, which is the tragedy of Amirul Mu'mineen. So that people will not pay too much attention toward the tragedy of Amirul Mu'mineen, the darbat to Amirul Mu'mineen, and to the shahadat of Amirul Mu'mineen, and more emphasis will be laid on it being the night of Qadr. I don't know where this shubha, this doubt emerged, but it eventually did emerge. And there's no such thing as that. You honestly question and ask that where in the Shia world, where do you see that when the nights of Qadr come, that while the Shias are performing the amal of the night of Qadr, that they do not go ahead and commemorate the shahadat of Amirul Mu'mineen? I don't think there is any place in any Shia world where both of these actions are not done together. Wherever there's amal, wherever there's amal of the night of Qadr, there's also majlis for the shahadat of Maulana Muttaqiyan. So this shubha, this doubt is probably emerging from the fact that people want to create fitna and they want to create discord amongst our own sufuf. Because, within our own madhab, this is where we see how we have divided ourselves, how there have become different groups within madhab-e-tashayyu. That you're able to, unfortunately, call upon, they are those, they are so-and-so, they are so-and-so. Why? When they're all waiting under the banner of Imam Hujjah, when they all are the believers and the followers of Maktab-e-Ahl Tashayyu, then why are we calling ourselves dividing ourselves into these different categories? You want to look at the fadail of Amirul Mu'mineen? I'll reference you towards just one hadith. One incident, rather, more than a hadith. And you'll be surprised that who is saying these words. This riwayat has appeared in numerous books, and the place where I am quoting it from is Mawa'idul Adadiyya. There's a book compiled by Ayatollah Mishkini called Mawa'idul Adadiyya. There are mawa'id, which is the plural of maw'idha, advices which are numbered. I've spoken before as well from this book. And if you look into the last section of it, where he mentions 12. So for example, in the beginning there are riwayat, there are 3 signs of mu'min, or there are 5 signs of mu'min, or there are 7 things you should do, or there are 8 signs of this, there are 9 things until the 12. So there's a section which is known as Ithna Ashar, the 12 war, if you want to call it. And in that he narrates this tradition. He narrates by saying, An Umar ibn al-Khattab, the second caliph, أنه قال, he said, في أول يوم صعد على المنبر في خلافته. On the first day when he ascended onto the minbar after assuming the khilafat. That means when he became the Khalifa of the Muslimin, he ascended to the minbar because that was the tradition that the new Khalifa would ascend on the minbar and he would give the khitab. When he gave this khitab, he said amongst his discussion the following. He said, لَقَدْ عُؤْتِيَ عَلِيٌّ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ إِثْنَتَيْ عَشَرَةَ فَضِيلَةً. That Ali has been given 12 virtues, لَمْ تَكُنْ لِي وَلَا لِأَحَدٍ مِنَ النَّاسِ وَاحِدَةٌ مِنْهَا. Neither I nor anyone amongst the people have any one of these attributes or virtues that Ali has. This is the second caliph, after giving his inauguration speech, he's speaking and he says this, that Ali possesses 12 virtues that nobody in this crowd, and neither am I, have any one of them. And then he says, it starts counting one after another. Each one of these virtues is the fadilat and enough for the fadail of Amirul Mu'mineen. But all 12 of them put together is nurun ala nur. He says, al-ula mawliduhu fil Kaaba. That he was born inside the Kaaba, and not me nor anyone else has the virtue of being born inside the Kaaba. وَالثَّانِيَةُ زِوَاجُهُ فِي السَّمَاءِ. His marriage took place in the heavens, and none of us, and neither mine, marriage took place nowhere close to heavens on this earth. You know, we always hear, रिश्ते आसमान पे बनते हैं, but Ali और बतूल की शादी आसमान पे हुई है. كَسِوَاجُهُ فِي السَّمَاءِ. Their marriage takes place in the heaven. وَالثَّالِثَةُ زَوْجَتُهُ فَاطِمَةُ بِنْتِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَوَاتُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهَا. And fourth, that Al-Hasan wal-Hussein wa awladuhu, that he has children like Hassan and Hussein, who are the leaders of the youth of paradise. Wal-Khamisatu, and the fifth thing, that he has virtue over all of us. The qawl of Ali, qawl of Rasul, when he said, Man kuntu mawla, fahadha aliyun mawla, Allahumma wali man walahu, wa ade man adahu. That Rasulullah said, that Ali, oh Ali, you are just the same way. Man kuntu mawla, that whomever I am the mawla of, Ali is their mawla. Oh Allah, love those who love Ali, and oh Allah, have hate towards those who hate Ali ibn Abi Talib. And then he said, وَالسَّادِسَةُ قَوْلِ النَّبِي. And number 6, the call of Rasulullah, when he said, while I was present, بِحُضُورِ يَوْمَ غَدِيرِ خُمْ, while I was present over there, Rasulullah said, Ya Ali anta minni bimanzilat Harun min Musa. Oh Ali, you are to me like Harun was to Musa, except there's no Nabi after me. وَالسَّابِعَةُ, number 7 virtue that Ali has, that nobody has amongst us, saddu abwab as-sahaba wa lam yasudda babahu. All the doors of ashab were closed towards the masjid except the door of Ali ibn Abi Talib, which remained open. Wathaminatu, number 8 virtue that Ali has, qawlun nabi, the call of Rasulullah. And pay attention to this call because it's a lengthy call, but the meaning of this you will understand and you will enjoy. It says, man abid Allah, whoever does the ibadat of Allah, fi mithli Makkah wal Madina alfa sana. Whoever does the ibadat of Allah in the cities like Makkah and Medina for 1,000 years, was sabara كَنُوهِ فِي قَوْمِهِ, and shows patience like Hazrat Nuh did in his ummat, وَصَبَرَ عَلَى حَرِّ مَكَّةِ, and who showed patience in towards the hararat and the heat of the city of Makkah, وَالْمَدِينَةِ وَالْجَوْعِ الْمَدِينَةِ, and the hunger that you get in Medina, وَأَنْفَقَ مَالَهُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, and whoever did infaq of their mal, their wealth in the way of Allah, وَكَانَ بِقَدْرِ أَبِي قُبَيْسٍ, and the value of it was close to this mountain of Abu Qubais. وَقُتِلَ بَيْنَ الصَّفَّا وَالْمَرْوَى, and whoever did jihad between Safa and Marwa, عَمْدًا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, with the intention of Sabilillah. وَلَمْ يَأْتِ بِوِلَايَتِكَ يَا عَلِي, after having done all of these things, he does not utter your wilayat, O Ali. لَكَانَ أَمَلُهُ وَزُهْدُهُ وَقَتْلُهُ هَبَاءً manthura. All of his actions, his asceticism, his qital is nothing more than scattered dust. Look at all the fadail that are put together in this one sentence. Ibadat in Makkah and Medina for 1,000 years. And then jihad between Safa and Marwa. And giving infaq in the amount of a mountain But if they do not come with your wilayat or Ali, their actions are like scattered dust. Nothing more than the dust, the value of that action. And then number 9, in the najma hawa darahu, the star was circling his house. Wal ashira ruddat lahu shams marratain. Sun was returned for him twice, one in Medina, one in Iraq. Wa hadiyat ashar, number 11, annahu yukallimul amwat, that he was able to speak to the dead. He was able to speak to different animals. He was able to speak to different makhluqat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And lastly, wa thaniyat ashar annahu qadrun ala khamsina alfan yaqtuluhum bishimalihi duna jaminihi, that he has the ability and the power and the qudrat to do qital with 50,000, whether with his right hand or whether with his left hand. And he's Ali ibn Abi Talib. None of us have the similar attributes that he possesses. Salawat bi Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Because this is the same person who said, Lawla Aliyun lahalaka Umar. If it wasn't for Ali, I would have perished. I would not have survived. With all of these admissions, with admitting all of these attributes and merits about Amirul Mu'mineen, and is still usurping his right, it's just mind-boggling. This is where you understand that no matter how close and how near even you are to the Holy Prophet, but when it comes to iqtada, when it comes to power, an individual can lose the path. And therefore we see that tonight is the night when Amir al-Mu'mineen finally, the Khilafat al-Zahiri of Imam came knocking on his door. Imam did not choose it. When he was deprived of it for 25 years and it came knocking on his door, these 5 years or so that Imam spent were spent primarily in jihad and the battles that took place inside his realm. We find that Naqisin, Mariqin, and Qasitin, the battle of Jamal, the battle of Siffin, and the battle of Nahrawan, that kept Amirul Mu'mineen occupied. And eventually, after the battle of Nahrawan, when Imam had fought, and this group known as the Khawarij, and some people say, well, there were other individuals as well who had their hand in the qatl of Amirul Mu'mineen. But primarily the main factors were these who emerged from these Khawarij. And amongst them, there was a man by the name Ibn Muljim Muradi. And he and others had targeted these individuals according to them. They were all the same. And they had put Amir al-Mu'mineen in the same saf as Amir Sham or Amr ibn As, for example, na'udhu billah. But Maulana Muttaqiyan, after having lived for 63 years, when this month of Ramadan began, Imam felt completely different. And I think I recited it at another time, that Imam said, just recently, that Imam said, and he asked his children, probably in the beginning of the month of Ramadan, that, oh Hassan, how many days remaining in this month? Or how many days have gone past in Ramadan? These are usually, if you don't remember any month of the Islamic calendar, you remember the month of Ramadan. And you don't know the dates of the Islamic month for sure, but you know the dates of the month of Ramadan. Isn't that the case with us? But Ali ibn Abi Talib does not remember how many days have gone past in Ramadan and how many more days have remained in Ramadan. I think it wasn't that he didn't remember. I think the question were more so that Ali was waiting for that awaited night. The night for which he had already been informed by Rasulullah. We heard, and you've heard these masaib over and over, that the musibat of Amirul Mu'mineen, that he would go to the night of iftar to one of his children's house. And on the night of 19th, Imam was in the house of his daughter, Kulthum. She says that my father after he finished reciting Namaz-e-Maghrib, and I had spread the dastarkhan, and I had some bread with salt and some milk. That's all. There wasn't any lavish iftari that Imam had. And when my father finished his ibadat, he came to the sufra, and when he looked at 3 items, he spoke to me to remove one of them. She said, I wanted to remove the salt. My father said, no, leave the salt, remove the milk. And he broke his fast with 3 morsels of bread and salt. When we would ask him, oh Baba, why would you eat so little after having fasted all day long? He would say that these are the nights in which I will be departing this world, and when I meet my Lord, I want to meet my Lord with an empty stomach. And the children, when they would hear such a thing, right away, children would say, oh Baba, don't say this. We can't bear your loss. We can't even imagine not having you around. But this was the reality that Amir al-Mu'mineen, when he slept that night, when he woke up, he could not fall asleep. But for that little bit that he slept, he saw a dream. He woke up and he gathered all of his children and he said to them that I have seen a dream and I saw your grandfather Rasulullah. And Rasulullah said to me, Ya Ali, innaka qadimun ilayya. That, oh Ali, you are coming to us tonight. Or you are coming toward us. Oh Ali, your time has come to an end in this world. And when Amir al-Mu'mineen woke up and he said these words to his children, just imagine what went through their hearts. This was the night when he did not have any qarar. He did not have any rest. He would go outside and look at the sky, and he would look at the night, and he would look at the color, and he would say, yes, ha huna, this is the night. This is the night which has been promised for me. And then eventually the time of Sahar would come. Amir al-Mu'mineen, his daughter said to him, oh Baba, don't go to masjid tonight. Let someone else go ahead and lead the prayers. You don't feel okay tonight. Even the daughter had understood what was about to come. Amir al-Mu'mineen leaves the house to go towards Masjid-e-Kufa. As he was leaving, even the animals inside the house, they blocked the path of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Even though in the saying that, oh Maulana, we know what musibat is about to come. Even we don't allow you to go tonight. Ajrukum Allah. May Allah give you no grief except the grief and the sorrow of Ahlul Bayt. Imam makes his way towards the masjid. If you have visited Masjid-e-Kufa, you understand the haibat of that masjid. And if you haven't, may Allah give you the sharaf of ziyarat. Imam enters the masjid. He performs the mustahab prayers. And as the azan was being recited, he went ahead and woke up the people who were sleeping in the masjid. And as soon as Imam started his nafilah, he said Allahu Akbar, and he did ruku. And when he went into the sajda, riwayat says Ibn Muljim takes out this sword which had been put into poison, and he strikes on the head of Imam, separating it to the extent the blood gushes out. Imam remembers the words of Rasulullah that, oh Ali, your beard, your mahasin will be colored with your own blood. Ali raises his head. He said, Bismillah wa billah wa ala millati Rasulillah fustu wa rabbil Kaaba. By God, in the name of Allah, by the millat of Rasulillah, Ali fustu wa rabbil Kaaba, by the Lord of the Kaaba, Ali has been successful. Fustu wa rabbil Kaaba. And then the malaika, their sound started coming. Tahaddamat wallahi arkanul huda. The elements of hidayat have come down.